Now we're going to build a system that helps us scale our points over time. The pscale attribute is one that we use in Houdini all the time to control the scale of objects. And we're going to build a point VOP that allows us to customize our pscale. So what we're going to do is I'm going to lay down a point VOP. And we'll be building a lot of these in this course just to be able to, in a nice visual way, customize attributes. So I'm going to call this create pscale, and then I make these green in here. And we'll dive into this. Okay, so now we are in VOP land. Let me turn off the color. And we want to do a few different things. First off, we want to create a ramp that's driven by the red channel of our color data. Because we've created this ramp, you remember that it's black at the beginning of our particle's life and white at the end. So now we can use that to drive all sorts of other ramps as if it's a lookup table. So I'm going to make a ramp. And what we're going to do is we're going to drag out of CD. And actually first, we're going to make a vector to float, right? So I'm going to drag out of CD, put in a vector to float. And now we just take the red channel because we only need one channel to drive the ramp. Okay, so now I've got this ramp and we want to have it just be a spline ramp because we're just getting a float value for pscale. And I'll call this pscale ramp. Okay. Cool. And so this is going to allow us to craft a ramp to control the particle size. But what I also want to do is I want to create a little bit of randomness on this. So not everything is the same size at the same moment. So what we're going to do here is off the ID pin, I'm going to make a random. Okay, so because we have our ID attribute that was created in our particle system, now we can create a random value. And now I'm going to do a fit range. And that random is going to output a 0 to 1. And I'm going to have this be 0.5 to 2. So it'll just rearrange those numbers. Okay, so now I'm going to create a multiply. And we'll start with that random. And then we're going to feed in the output of our ramp. And then I want an overall multiplier at the end so I can scale the results up or down by a whole offset. So I'm going to middle mouse click on this, say promote parameter. Let me just open that up and bring it down here. And I'm just going to call this pscale mult. Okay, so now we've set up a ramp that we can control the pscale size by, and then we've added some randomness into it as well, and then we've added a final offset that we can do manually. So now to actually create that pscale variable, I will make a bind export, connect that to the output of the multiply, and call this pscale. Again, the capitalization is important. And then there we go. Here is our little VOP node for creating our pscale attribute. So now we go to create pscale, and let's open this and we can see everything we've custom created down here. First off, you can see everything went away because by default, this pscale mult is 0. If I change this to 1, there we go. Now we have everything back. If I make these bigger, boom, now you can see they're bigger. So that's our overall pscale. So what we want to do first is let's just modify some points on this ramp. So at the beginning, I want it to be 0.5 at 0. We're going to use some alpha blending to blend them in and out so we don't have to have this scale at 0 at the beginning and the end. But then at 0.2, we'll make another point here. We'll do that at 0.2. We'll make that a value of 1. And then at the end of its life, we will scale it down to 0. Now I'm going to select these points on the ramp and make them catmull rom to give us some nice smooth interpolation. Alrighty, so now we've just created some custom pscale attribute actions. So now let's play this back again. And all these steps just start to give us a little bit nicer of like this fake smoke sim. With the extra randomness we've added too, we're not only changing which frame of our sprite sheet that we're displaying in any particle at any given time, we're also randomizing that size. So there's nothing exactly the same at any given time. So we can create a lot of organicness out of, a very simple image. So next up, we're going to move to creating the color and alpha for this particle system.